UFOs are real. They are out there. I have several of them in this apartment. I am, of course, talking about unfinished objects. Projects that have just been left unfinished. Now, this is different than a work in progress, which may have slow progress. I'm talking about the ones that are just lingering, that have been left by the wayside. So it's time to tackle some of these poor dears. Even if I don't get them all finished, I do want to get some serious progress made on these projects. You may recognize this granny square. It was in a video from 4 months ago. I said it was destined to be donated, and yet it's still here. Why? I'm going to crochet while we talk about some of the factors that lead to projects becoming UFOs. Just want to get started here, then we can talk. There are a few factors as to why this granny square blanket has been sitting around the apartment for 4 months instead of finished and in its box to be donated. I think the first factor would have to be materials. When doing granny squares, the weight of the yarn has to be similar. You can't put baby weight yarn in with sport yarn. It's not going to look right. So I ran out of materials. I did not have enough thick yarn, appropriately thick yarn. I did not have enough appropriately thick yarn to keep doing rounds on this blanket. One of the problems with doing big granny squares, each round you do, you need more and more yarn to complete a round. And I just didn't have enough of one color to make a complete round. So I had to wait until I could find more at a thrift store, because most of my supplies come from a thrift store. Second major factor as to why this has been lingering: motivation. I did my granny square video back in September 2020. This is leading right up to Halloween, the best time of the year. But it also meant I was really busy making costumes, and not just for me, for a trio. I made, oh my, I can't think of how many I made. There was the jack-o'-lantern dress, the little witchy hat. Of course, a trio had 3 costumes. I had to dress the hat for Sophie Hatter for Howl's Moving Castle to have the photo shoot with a trio. The Viking apron dress was also around this time. Little Bo Peep. A lot of the filming for my fall costume lookbook was also done in October. So I was really busy doing other timely projects that kept me busy and not crocheting a granny square. Sometimes the motivation might be that you just lose the drive to do a certain project. To help counter that, especially the big projects that can sometimes be really daunting, I create folders of images that I use on the wallpaper of my computer. Helps keep me interested in the costume. For my Alice in Wonderland costume that I'm working on, the before and after Wonderland, I have a folder of images. Some of them are screen caps from the movies, some of it is fan art, some of it is just other ideas that make me happy about the project, that make me want to keep doing that project. Sometimes the reason why a project might get put on the back burner and then further back and further back is not necessarily motivation or the want to do it, but that you don't have the skills. It's intimidating sometimes to try something new, and it's really scary. I have a mock-up for an Edwardian corset that I'm doing for my VAD uniform, but it's still in pieces because I've never made a corset before, and yeah, I'm a little nervous about it. It's kind of scary. Sometimes running out of material can be a little bit more critical than not having the right amount or right weight of a particular yarn. Eventually, I know I'm going to find more of it. But if it is a particular piece of fabric or trim, that can be a lot harder to find more of because it's a specific material that you need to find. Another factor can sometimes be losing your project in the chaos that is your life. We live in a pretty small apartment. There are no closets. Storage space is at a premium, so my crafts are just kind of tucked away here and there wherever I can find space for them. In the office, spread out here and there in the living room because there's no space for me to have a really nice organized craft room. And sometimes I just lose a project underneath another project and it's like, I can't find it. It's just gone. Yeah, running out of materials. During my benefits of crocheting and knitting video, I'm working on a 1915 crocheted corset cover. It's still not done. I have the motivation to want to work on it and have picked it up a few times, but I've run out of yarn, or I can't find the yarn that I had to work on it. I'm sure I had more yarn. I'm sure I had enough yarn to do that project, but I can't find it. And I don't know if I'm just going to have to find more yarn and start over, which might not be a bad thing. It's a little rough start to that one. My skills have definitely improved doing that pattern. UFO number 2. I already talked about it. It's my 1915 crocheted corset cover. You may notice the color is different. Yeah, I couldn't find the yarn that I thought I had. Maybe I never had it, so I started over. I found this yarn at a thrift store. 2 big bags of it. Hopefully that will be enough. It's not very big yet, and I realized this is going to take a long time to crochet. I am using a 2.1 millimeter hook, and what I want to do today is just do a bit of crocheting. I know some people find it relaxing. Well, as a crocheter, I certainly find it relaxing to crochet, but other people enjoy watching that nice, smooth, repetitive nature of crochet. It's almost mesmerizing. I figured I would give you guys a few minutes, or maybe just a minute, of me crocheting, since I can't really talk and do this pattern. It does require a fair bit of focus. It's thin yarn, but it's also a little fuzzy. So trying to find my chain space to go into is a little tricky, and I admit there are times I just guess and kind of go, it's there, and hope for the best. If you are not interested in just simply watching some nice, relaxing crocheting, I'll let you know when the next segment starts, so you can skip ahead to that. I had a fair chunk of this dress already done. First part to tackle here, the hem. I put the dress on, helpful husband measured up 2 inches from the floor and pinned so that I knew where the hem needed to be. Pinned it in place, sewed it, done. To finish the neck, I first did a zigzag stitch so that it wouldn't fray, because this was made out of tablecloths. It's prone to fraying. Did the zigzag stitch to secure that, folded it over once more, stitched it down. The lacing is spiral lacing. Just used a Sharpie to mark out on the wrong side of the dress where I wanted to put the lacing holes. Doing the eyelets for the lacing, I couldn't find my awl, so I used crochet hooks. Started with a fine crochet hook, then went to kind of a medium size, and then a large crochet hook to really have a good big opening to make this easier to lace up the dress. Stitched the eyelet open with just some needle and thread. Relatively simple process. It's done. I may not have finished my granny square, and I am certainly far from finished for my 1915 crocheted corset cover, but at least there is one less thing in my UFO pile. And this was on my list of goals to accomplish this year. Finish this mock-up. I'm very glad I did. It looks lovely. I had a lot of fun wearing this. Thank you very much for joining me as I worked on these projects. Until next time, have fun and be creative. This definitely worked better when I had the veil pinned to my actual hair, not a hairband.